How did you become homeless?
Well, many years ago, when I was at school, they had work experience, which you go to school for 2 days, work for 3 days. And it was to help people get into work, you know. And luckily, the job that I was doing gave me a job straight away when I left school. And from then on, I was working, never out of work. I had money, I had cars, I had my own place, you know. And after so many years, 1999 Christmas Day, my dad died, which I was really close to, and that just hit me for 6, you know. I just wasn't bothered anymore, and I just ended up going downhill, you know. And thanks to this project that, you know, now my life is going to get back up there, but in this time I'm going to make it stick, you know.
Come to Brighton just over 11 years ago, and out of that 11 years I've probably done over 6 years, you know, street homeless. You know, I did have, in that time I lived in a house for 2, I had met a girl and she had a house, so I lived with my girlfriend for a couple of years. You know, it's a privately rented house, and then we split up, so I ended up back on the street. Well, I went to Spain after we split up for a year, come back, then I went to Scotland, lived on a protest site in Scotland, just outside of Edinburgh, in a treehouse, but that's still classed as, you know, homeless, no electric or nothing, lovely surroundings, though. And then I come back to Brighton and lived on the street, and I've done a couple of stints in like detox centres, you know, because I had drug and alcohol problems, which, you know, quite a lot of people on the streets have, or they develop when they're on the street, because it just helps you, you know, it helps you cope better.
Should there be more information available?
No, there's not. There should be more information, and then they will know where to go and, you know, what to do.
Well, certainly in Brighton and Hove there are lots of information. We have a thing called the street sheet, which lists all the help they can get. There's medical, they can have showers each day, there's food, there's advice on drugs, on alcohol, across the board. The churches, in fact the churches from October to March have night shelters where they house 15 people at a time, and it's rotated around different churches. There's the Sally Army, they have food stuffs. There's different other churches not having room for or space for a night shelter. They have meals on a Sunday, so every Sunday a homeless person can access a meal, and very often a very good meal.
I think the more information, obviously, the better, and that you can't have too much information in some ways if there are people able to provide it. There are outreach workers funded by the council, St Mungo's, who are paid to contact people. There's the First Base Day Centre, there's Just Life that John's quite involved with, a whole host of organisations, and it's making sure that those organisations that are working with homeless people convey the information that's needed, as well as those people who are not engaging with those organisations get the information across. And there's various church groups that do things on the streets as well. So yeah, information is good.
What's the future?
Don't judge, don't stereotype. You know, same with anything in life, to help. It takes everybody to chip in, not just one person. It's like one person saying, oh, you know, I'm going to change the world. Everybody needs to do it. You know, but you know, what can you do to help? It's most of the homeless. It's the homeless person that needs to help himself. A lot of them want to be there, and that is a problem. You know, a lot of the beggars, you talk to them, they've got somewhere to live. You know, and that's making the homeless problem look worse than it already is. You know what I mean? So, but it's getting the homeless person to actually want the help and receive the help. A lot of them, if you go around and talk to them and offer them somewhere to live, they'll not accept it. They like being where they are. So to solve the problem, you've got to make them want to change.
I've reached a point where there's such a shortage. I got young people in my town, for God's sake, you know, born here, went to school here, grew up here, they're married, they've got kids, they're living in one room. It's just not on. You know, we've got to find more property. And I think now's the time to look at, to get an independent commission that is full of serious people with cross-party support. And in my opinion, there will be some that they will come up with rational examples where a certain amount of building can be done. I just don't think we've got any choice, frankly.
I'll go back to the council. You need to get all the homeless from Eastbourne to Brighton to sit outside the council and have a petition until they move you on into a property, or you just stay where you are until they do move you.
My name is John Hasman. I'm campaigning for homeless people. I had a 38 degrees petition in 2017, which I got 4,100 signatures. I went to council with that, and they voted 100% to open night shelters.
New council houses are being built, which is good. I'm involved with the Living Rent campaign, and we're trying to get a good landlord scheme where landlords will offer lower rents and a willingness to house people on lower incomes and obviously consider housing homeless people. So there's recently, I mean, thanks partly, I won't look at him because I'm supposed to look at the camera, but John's petition has led to ourselves as Green Party members putting motions to provide resources towards a night shelter. The night shelter's now happened. The night shelter maybe could have been run, or can be run more efficiently. It could have been done more swiftly, but it's happened. It's housing 30 people, that is positive. Some of those people have already been rehoused into more settled accommodation. The pop-up homeless guardians, the project that is now finished, but that housed 15 people. So there's plenty of things that are happening and have happened that are positive. The problem is the lack of affordable, not the lack of accommodation. There is enough accommodation for people, but it's not affordable, and people aren't willing to share the rooms and have lodges like they did in the old days more. So the lack of affordable accommodation, it will always push people. Most people who present to the council with a homeless issue are helped and sorted and don't end up on the streets, but enough get through for the numbers to be getting greater.
Petition in 2018 for night shelters. I started it in just before Christmas of 2017, and I already have over 2,700 signatures at the time of making this interview. But we have to press the council to act early in the season and not wait until it's December of this current year. They should start as soon as September, at the latest October. So, and work and have it running all the way through to the end of April. This is our aim for this current year, which I hope that the councillors can be persuaded to vote enough money or take a little money from each of the budgets that they have, rather than give large sums to one organisation.
The other thing that I didn't mention that is needed and is potentially positive is more move-on accommodation. The part of the problem there's supported accommodation for homeless people, and there isn't enough move on, so people are staying longer than they should. So people are spending more time on the streets before they move into supported accommodation, and they need accommodation to move into after. So we definitely need more move on accommodation to be made available. And one initiative which sometimes, which usually houses people directly, people who are generally going round and round. They're in a hostel, they get evicted, they're on the streets, they're back in a hostel, they're on the streets, they go to prisons, they never make it to move on accommodation. And there's a project called Housing First that the council has 10 properties, and we've been arguing very strongly that they should expand it, which does what it says on the tin, which is houses people first. So what it does is it says, all right, here's your home, you pay your rent, and we'll support you to stay in that home. And it's been proven to be very successful, that being sort of like 7, 8 out of 10 people that previously were going round and round streets, hostel, streets, hospital, streets, prison and things like that, are now being housed and have been able to rebuild their lives more because of the stability provided by that scheme. Now that scheme costs, in terms of support, about £10,000 to £11,000 a year. Now the cost of supporting a homeless person is estimated to be about £25,000 a year. So it is a sensible use of public resources, and that's one thing that, as a Green Party councillor on the Housing Committee, I will be arguing for and continue to argue for, and hopefully we'll get this scheme expanded.